It is Friday, y'all. It is Friday. After a long, chaotic, crazy offseason, people, this time around next week, Alabama's playing a football game. Let me say that one more time. At this time around next week, Alabama is playing a football game. And you are locked and loaded into the hottest show on the streets, people. Hottest thing smoking. #1 form for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information to end your work week correctly. This right here, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Happy to have every last one of you tuning in to the network channel show on today. We got a lot to unpack. We got a lot to uncover. We got a lot to dive into as we are 8 days, people, 8. We are Julio Jones, Freddie Roach, Josh Jacobs from his junior season, guys like Christian Harris and John Mechie away from Alabama football. 8 days away from the Crimson Tide taking on the Missouri Tigers next Saturday in Columbia, Missouri. Really excited to hear from you guys today as we're bringing you this show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this to you via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button. Be sure to turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, alerts, and updates on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. We're not only streaming this to you through YouTube, but for my Facebook people out there, coming to Facebook, and my Twitter people out there, going to you as well. So hitting you on the YouTube, hitting you on the Facebook, hitting you on the Twitter for the hottest show on the streets. Alabama wrapped up fall camp on Thursday, so next week it goes into game week, game time, putting together the preparation, putting together the scheme, the strategy, the looks for those Missouri Tigers as 5 weeks of fall camp in the books. We got a great show tonight. As always, it's great to be joined here by the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio, that being my man, John Ivory. Gonna be fun because we have two special guests joining us later on the show. The first one will be former Alabama middle linebacker Marvin Constant. Marvin Constant, who played from 1998 to 2000, part of that 99, or a leader on that 99 SEC championship team for the Tide. It's going to be great to catch up there with one Marvin Constant. And along with him, we got the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Justin Smith, coming on to give us that lowdown in recruiting. He's currently in Florida. He checked out the IMG game on last night, IMG versus Edgewater, that featured a number of different Alabama commitments for 2021, along with a couple of 2022 guys out there as well. So big show tonight, and we want you as the fans to be a part of the conversation. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you, your thoughts, your ideas, your passion. What are you feeling right now when it comes to the Alabama Crimson Tide? But we start things off here. Topic number one of the conversation, freshman outside linebacker William Anderson. Freshman 5-star outside linebacker Will Anderson. People, I've been covering Alabama football for quite some time now for TDA. This will be my 12th season doing this for the brand, and I have never seen fans, people, this excited, this happy, this overjoyed about a pass rusher. Never have seen people this overjoyed for a pass rusher in my coverage of Alabama football. I mean, I've seen people excited about quarterbacks and running backs and receivers and defensive backs, things like that. But I've never seen people so excited to the point where they can't even see straight when it comes down to an outside linebacker, a pass rush, an edge rusher at the outside linebacker position. People are really, really excited about Will Anderson, and for obvious reasons. I mean, This is a young man that 6'4", 235 pounds, the pride of Hampton, Georgia, played ball at Dutchtown High School, was a wrecking ball at Dutchtown, I must say that. And during his senior year, he anchored a defensive unit that gave up 7.7 points per game. He's got 22 sacks his senior year, 15 tackles for loss. If you go back and watch the practices for the U.S. Army All-America game, the practices and the game itself, Anderson was just unblockable. He was impossible to block. I mean, he embarrassed some of the best offensive lineman prospects on the field. He was forcing turnovers. He was having quarterbacks on the ground all game long, all practice long. It was a menace, a terror, an absolute menace there on the field, that being one Will Anderson. And despite him not having spring practice, despite Alabama having to fight for the preseason practice program, Nick Saban having to fight for that, and this fall camp not being your typical average fall camp, Anderson, folks, he has dominated. I mean, he has flat out dominated fall camp. I heard from numerous sources, in 2 scrimmages combined, Will Anderson, 10 sacks. 10 sacks in 2 scrimmages combined. Nick Saban's talking about him. Pete Golding's talking about him. His teammates talking about him. Fans are Googling him, and everybody's talking about Will Anderson. And on Thursday, Landon Dickerson and DJ Dale were in player interviews via Zoom. I got a chance to be on the Zoom call with both guys. And DJ Dale was near speechless. I mean, the question was thrown to him about Anderson, and he was like, man, this dude, he's just got it, man. He just got it, man. Great listener, great talent, great player, great guy. He came in here with it. He just got it, man. This dude he just got it, man. Like, DJ Dale was rendered speechless talking about Will Anderson, and then Landon Dickerson comes behind him and goes, great player, great athlete, terrific dude. He has done some things in practice that just make you scratch your head and wonder, did I just see that? Did I really saw what I just saw right there from Will Anderson? So everybody right now talking highly about this young man and what he's going to look to do on the field in terms of pressuring quarterbacks, creating sacks, helping this defensive front get back to that nastiness that we have known to see it be under Nick Saban. And I know I said on a previous show talking about Freddie Roach and the defensive line, how many sacks can Freddie Roach coach out of his defensive line? And though I feel like and still feel like Coach Roach is going to have that defensive front where it needs to be at, attacking the quarterback, hitting the quarterback, making big-time plays, at the same time, just talking about Will Anderson, this is crazy. This young man is the closest thing that Alabama fans have seen to Tim Williams in quite some time. This is the closest thing to Tim Williams Alabama fans have seen since Tim Williams left Alabama to pursue the NFL after the 2016 season. And what's crazy is Tim did, as good as Tim was, as dynamic as Tim was, as great as Timmy Williams was, Tim did not pop until year 3. Think about that for a moment. Let that rotate in the brainstem, the cerebellum there for just a moment. Tim did not pop until year 3. He came in 2013 with A'Shawn Robinson, with Jonathan Allen, with Reuben Foster, with Eddie Jackson. He came in with those guys. He did not really play for real in his freshman year. He didn't play much his sophomore year. It was his junior year, 2015, where Tim just snapped. That junior year, 10.5 sacks, a bunch of tackles for loss, a bunch of quarterback hurries. Tim snapped his junior year. We saw what he became as a senior 2016, but Tim did not pop until year 3. We're looking at Will Anderson's come in here now, creating this buzz, creating this attention, creating this excitement. He's got everybody talking about him, looking at him, bringing him into the conversation. So, and for a lot of Bama fans that I have conversed with, this is the big thing here for Will. Will Anderson's floor is Tim Williams. That's his floor. That's a pretty darn good floor. Will Anderson's floor is Tim Williams, but his ceiling? This brother's ceiling. And that is if he stays the course, he works hard, he gets better, he continues to grow, he fine-tunes. His ceiling, potentially, if he does everything the right way year by year by year, his ceiling, potentially, he can get close. He can get close to what Derek Thomas was. I know when people bring up Derek Thomas, I no, nobody will ever touch DT. That's DT. That's the greatest of all time. That's the man. That's the legend. That's the head honcho. That's numero uno. You ain't touching Derek Thomas. But I'm just saying, William Anderson, if he stays the course, continues to grow, continues to get better, fine-tunes the technique, he has some traits, some tendencies to at least get close. At least get close to what Derek Thomas was at the University of Alabama. But people are just overly excited. They are overjoyed about what this young man, Will Anderson, can bring to the table. I mean, folks, you got mamas, you got mothers of players from the 2020 class. They're talking right now, Will Anderson, this brother, he's an android. He ain't human. This man ain't human. Like, you got mothers in this 2020 class. Players are in this 2020 class. They moms are talking like, this brother right here, Will Anderson, is not human. Nick Saban has mentioned he is going to get time on the field. He looks at Will Anderson as somebody that's ready right now to play winning football, to get on the field, and to do his thing. And what's funny is prior to fall camp, all 4 freshman outside linebackers that Alabama signed in this class were getting the same amount of conversation. Will Anderson was getting conversation. Drew Sanders got conversation. Chris Braswell got conversation. Quandarius Robinson got conversation. I mean, they all got conversation prior to fall camp, but it just looks like Will Anderson has done that nursery rhyme. Remember, hey, diddle, diddle, the cat in the fiddle, and it ends up with in the dish, ran away with that spoon. I mean, Will Anderson has ran away with the entire conversation doing that. I mean, everybody's talking Will. Will Anderson's the one that everybody is talking about. And the question becomes now, how many sacks can he get here as a freshman? How many can he get as a freshman? And then number 2, who steps up to help him, right? Because I still think that Drew Sanders is the number 2 guy behind Will. I still think it's Drew Sanders. I mean, here's a guy from Ryan High School, by the way, of Texas, Denton, Texas, that was a two-way player, played quarterback, played tight end, played linebacker. The guy's an angry man. He's got the anger of Ryan Anderson, but he's got the ability as a more so refined version of Dylan Lee. So that's where I look at when I talk about Drew Sanders. I think he's the number 2 guy behind Anderson. But Chris Braswell, that 66-inch box jump he had, coming from St. Francis Academy in the Maryland area, where he took on Bryce Young in high school. And he got some sacks off Bryce Young in high school during Young's time at Mater Dei in Santa Ana, California, where those 2 guys played each other. Braswell was able to make some plays there on Young. And then you got Quandarius Robinson, of whom from Jackson Olin High School in Birmingham at 6'5". He's 220 pounds now, but he's got the ability to feel that whole body out. And going back to my discussions with Leonard Stevens, a good friend of mine who runs step-by-step performance training out of Birmingham, he really, has spent a lot of time with Quandarius. He talked about how if Q can feel out the body, if Q can fill out his frame, get to between maybe 245, 250, he could be the next Courtney Upshaw. And that's a big deal right there if Q Robinson can fill out that body. But right now, the main person that has grabbed all headlines, the main person that has grabbed every inch of the conversation, the main person that has said, ready or not, here I come, and I'm doing this, is Will Anderson. I mean, if there was ever a time to pop, you pop right now, especially on defense. I know people look at offensively. If you want to pop as a running back, as a quarterback, as a wide receiver, you got to pop, right when you get to the program. But at Alabama on defense, especially with the way Coach Saban recruits on defense, and especially with the way Coach Saban recruits at that linebacker position. If you want to pop, you got to pop quick. You got to hit right now. And Will Anderson sees that. He recognizes that. And he is trying to get that done here this season. The teammates talking big about him. Coaching staff talking big about him. You know, Coach Sal Sunseri coaching the young man hard, but he has really taken well to the coaching. He's growing, as DJ Dale said, loves to listen, willing to take things and apply it to his game. But as far as that it factor and that swag, that sauce, that drip, and being a pass rusher, Will Anderson's got it. And he's got it in absolute spades. It's going to be fun watching that young man this season. I mean, I can only imagine the glee on Sal Sunseri's face right now. I mean, you've got Will, Drew, Braswell, Q Robinson, King Wakuda, Kevin Harris II. Like, you got a deep outside linebacker room with Ben Davis and Chris Allen both leading the way for that group. But Will Anderson eating up the conversation. Looking forward to seeing what he does in this upcoming season as a freshman. We take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We are just getting started here on a Friday. Upon our return, we entertain your phone calls, your questions, your thoughts, your texts, your tweets, your super chats. We get to all of them right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in the saddle here, folks, from the break on the hottest show on the streets, the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, ending your work week off correctly. Next week around this time, Bama's playing football against Missouri in Columbia, Missouri, as the Tide will take on those Tigers. But before we go to the phone lines to get to your calls here, we got some super chats to shout out right now, and really happy for everybody. Senator Hines, man, appreciate the love, man. $4.99 in the super chat. Senator Hines starting us off the right way. And then Marcus Davis doing it right now with the $4.99 on his end on the super chats. Kevin Compton in the building. That $49.99 and that super chat's coming from Kevin Compton. Willie351, gotta love Willie351. That $22 there being the super chats from Willie351. Spencer Revley, another one of our famous listeners that loves that Emily's Heirloom pound cake. Spencer Revley throwing in that $5 via the super chats, and even Mark Abe, your new guy. We got Mark Abe chiming in with that $5 via the super chats as well. Appreciate everybody donating into Touchdown Alabama Magazine via the super chats. Thank you so much for your support. Check it out, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Now, the list of donors will be updated every show. So if you are a donor, consistent donor via the super chats for the show, the list will be updated at every next show. So every next show, the super chats updated list of donors will be, updated. But as we get to you, Tide Nation, 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And we start this thing off with none other than my man, Waylon Colburn. Waylon, happy Friday to you, man.
Like I always say, no other place I'd rather be on Friday than TDA, man. I tell you what, you on the SEC network. Can I come down there and get an autograph? Or, are you going to charge me? Can I get it done for free? What's going on, Stephen?
You can get done for free, Wanger. Can't charge you. Can't charge you. But you are family, Wanger, so I can't charge you. How you feeling?
We doing good today. You've been on the Fine Bomb Show 1 week away from the weekend, nearly a week away from Alabama football. That sums it all up in a nutshell, man. I don't know what else I need to say except for the poem, but go ahead and lay it on me. What's going on at TDA, Steven?
Everybody's doing good right here, Waylon. Crimson Tide wrapped up fall camp on yesterday, being Thursday, so 5 weeks of camp in the books. We made it through a full fall camp with no serious injuries, so thank goodness for that. Still knocking on wood that continues, but Baloo and Ray have done a great job. So right now, Alabama's in game week form. So on Monday, you start game week. They start putting together the scheme and the strategy for how are we going to go about attacking the Missouri offense in terms of Bama's defense, and for Bama's offense, how do we look at attacking Missouri's defense? So we're coming up here, Monday being game week, man. It's time, Waylon.
Yeah, it's time. Everything's going to be rolling next week. Everybody's going to be down there wanting to get a sneak peek in on the practice, all these shows, Fine Bomb, all the SEC network. I'll tell you what, they're going to be down there wanting to tear the fence down to get in there to see what Alabama looks like where they can be ready for game day, and we're going to be ready for the football game next Saturday. Ain't no doubt about it. But a lot of people on Friday, so we know the queue's hopping and popping. So, you've been on big-time TV, so everybody's got to talk to the man, so you're it. So that's the way it goes. We're going hello to everybody in the chat. I appreciate all the love. I see it all there. I appreciate everybody in the chat saying all the good things they say. Everybody in the other states, cities, and countries listening. We know TDA appreciates y'all, and I appreciate y'all too for listening in. And thanks for the love. We're going to wind it up like this. We're going to pop on out of here into the weekend, into the college football week next week. Let's see if we can do it about like this, Stephen. Once again, it's Friday on TDA. We're gearing up and getting ready for the weekend, just one day away. TDA, it's only a week away till we go to Mizzou and blow them away. It's college football week. I feel it in the air and in my blood. Alabama's ready to rub the SEC's face in the mud. Wait a minute now. Let's not forget the biggest sports show in the land. It was Stephen M. Smith on the Paul Feinbaum show in SEC land. On 9/11, it was an emotional day. We'll never forget Coach Bryant's birthday. I know he would say, TDA and Waylon march on. Tell Nick in Alabama to bring that national title home. We'll see everybody on Monday. Y'all have a safe weekend. You done a great job today, Stephen. You're moving on up. Y'all have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate the love there, Waylon. It's always great to have Waylon calling in to check us out here on the show. We got another shout out here for the super chats. We got G Bama Boy dropping in that cool $10 there via the super chats, helping us out here on TDA. We take another call here on the line. We got Senator Hines, the man and the legend, Senator Hines, calling in. What's going on, big timer?
Man, nothing much, man. Today is a beautiful day, man. We are literally 8 days away from kickoff, and I am so excited, man. John, he get me hyped with the hot beats, man, and then you come in with the energy, man. It's a great day to be a Bama fan, man. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, John Ivory does what he does, man, and this is why he's the hottest thing smoking, man, because John does what he does. And, of course, with me, Alabama concluded fall camp on Thursday. It was a great camp, 5 weeks of camp. I know it was different than what Nick Saban and the players are used to, but despite the COVID pandemic, Alabama still found a way to get practice in, to get film study in, to get what they needed to do done to get prepared for this season. And Alabama got through the fall camp, no major injuries. Thankful for that. Everybody, healthy for the most part, and just looking forward to seeing how does this coaching staff, how does this team, looking forward to seeing the product that is put on the field this year.
Man, me too, man. And I just wanted to highlight something that I don't think a lot of fans are paying attention to this year, that we kind of overlooked in the past because we've always had, experienced senior leadership across the field, offensive and defensive side. But a lot of things that a lot of these interviews and these players are highlighting in these interviews is the fact that the communication level has intensified, and a lot of people are becoming more vocal. And coming into last season, that was our biggest issue. That was the biggest issue, losing Dylan Moses in the middle of the field and a lot of guys transferring out. I mean, not transferring out, but going to the NFL. Last year, that was one of the biggest things. We didn't have enough people to communicate on the field. You had McKinney coming down from the safety spot.
He was the only one talking.
Exactly. And so you sit there, but you hear it now in these interviews, and you hear the coaches repeating it, and you just get excited because we know we have the athletes, we know we have the talent, and if these guys are picking up the playbook and grasping everything, as well as everybody's saying, to have a great year on the defense side. I see us, back in that 2016, 2015 form, man. I mean, just the talent is so deep. Especially at the front seven, and Dylan Moses coming back is huge, man. I don't see him having to carry such a heavy load with the linebackers from last year having to get so much experience, man. So that's one thing I just wanted to highlight today, man.
Now, the one thing that I enjoy from the interview, Senator, is this right here. Seeing the young players talk about the importance of living up to that Alabama standard. It's great to hear Coach Saban talk about it, his staff talk about it. They're supposed to. Their job is to put the message out there. It's great to hear Dylan Moses and the older players talk about it, but their job is to distribute the message throughout the rest of the team. But when you hear DJ Dale, who's a sophomore, Christian Harris, a sophomore, you hear people talking about the growth that Jordan Battle has made, a sophomore. When you get these young guys talking about last year, 11-2, that's not Bama. That's not how we run things. That's not how we operate. We're about winning championships. When those young guys start talking it, now it becomes the message has been planted, it's been watered, and it's now being cultivated. Young guys are talking it. But, man, we appreciate the call as always, Senator. Man, you be easy.
You, brother.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys starting us off here on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets here in my own words. As always, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. 205-448-1358 here on the show. And as you guys are continuing to get your thoughts together, the Alabama Crimson Tide, they had 11 players. Alabama had 11 players named the preseason All-SEC team for 2020, and 8 of those guys made the first team list. When you discuss names like Dylan Moses on the list, Dylan Moses made it. Landon Dickerson was on the first team list. Alex Leatherwood was on the list. Patrick Surtain, Najee Harris, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, LeBron Ray. There were 8 guys on that list there for the Crimson Tide as first teamers. The other 3, you had Deontay Brown. Deontay Brown made the second team list, and then Evan Neal and Josh Jobe made the third team list. It was weird to see Evan Neal third team. That guy's a beast, but he's back at the offensive tackle position at right tackle. Going to be fun to watch how Neal performs, but Alabama got 11 guys on the SEC preseason list there for 2020 and 8 there as first-team guys. But we take a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, just getting your chest warm. When we get back, we sit down with 2 awesome guests, former Alabama linebacker Marvin Constant and the leading scouting recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, Justin Smith. You don't want to miss it, folks. We're coming back.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry. Delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back in from the break, folks, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Before we go to the phone lines here to pick up Marvin Constant, we got to shout out Waylon Coburn. Waylon, the president, the VIP of a TDA fan club, $9.99 that Waylon threw in there to the super chats. Appreciate that donation there coming from our own Waylon. And also, for those of you that are concerned about Alex Leatherwood, he was back in practice on Thursday. He's fine. Leatherwood was back in practice there on Thursday. A little update there on Alex Leatherwood. But right now, we go to the In My Own Words hotline where we bring on a heavy hitter right now. Played for the University of Alabama from 1998 to 2000 at middle linebacker. We got Marvin Constant in the building. Marvin, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Roll Tide. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We got Marvin Constant, folks, in the building. If you're just joining into the show right now, middle linebacker for the Crimson Tide, played from 1998 to 2000, was a part of that 99 team that won the SEC championship, was a big leader on that team that won the title. So, Marvin, you spent a lot of time around Freddie Roach. You know Freddie Roach well. You know this guy personally. And, when Roach played at Alabama, very decorative linebacker, but now he's back as a coach. He's back as a defensive line coach, getting this front group to play mean, to play nasty, to play physical, how you guys played during your time here. What can fans expect, or what should fans expect when you talk about the coaching style, the intensity that is Freddie Roach?
Knowing Roach, I think I know he's definitely going to bring a high intensity, get after it attitude. He's going to make sure that those guys are up for those games, that they're up to play ball, that they are, locked in and ready, studying that film, knowing their opponent. And when it comes time to play, I'm talking about you should expect them to come out physical and knocking heads.
Physical and knocking heads. That coming from Marvin Constant here, joining us live on the show, talking about one Freddie Roach here, the coach, the defensive line coach for the Crimson Tide. Now, the last 2 years, Alabama's defense did not really show that meanness, that physicality, that toughness, that discipline. There's the word. That discipline that we are known to see it have on that side of the football. So, Marvin, who are some guys that you are going to be looking at highlighting on the defensive side of the football, and you're telling them y'all got to come with it this year?
Well, I'm definitely going to be looking to see how Moses plays, after that knee injury, because knee injury, everybody think it's all physical, but, it's more mental than anything else to come back from that injury, because you have to trust your body. You have to trust what you did to get back was actually enough. So, there's a lot of mental hurdles that you have to overcome to play. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how he overcomes that. And I'm also anxious to see how the off-season program has treated Lee. To me, it looked like last year Lee was struggling a lot with his lateral movement. He was getting beat to the corners a lot, struggling to get over that tackle, on a lot of outside plays. So I'm definitely looking to see how that off-season program benefited him. And hopefully, he stretched and got those hips a little bit more loose so that he can, get to those outside on those stretch plays and toss plays.
Well, Shane Lee did drop 6 pounds this offseason, going from 246 down to 240. I would like to see him get down to that 235 range. Remains to be seen, but Marvin Constant on the show talking about one Shane Lee and Dylan Moses, two guys he's looking forward to seeing play some big ball this year on the defensive side of the football. Now, when you played from 98 to 2000, y'all had a toughness about y'all, a meanness, a nastiness, like you better not bring your butt in here because we gonna kill you. So just talk about the focus that you guys had under Coach Mike DuBose and just the passion that you guys played with, especially you at middle linebacker.
Well, I always went into practice just like I went into games with that same attitude, like, hey, you're not going to beat me. So a lot of my teammates would always be mad at practice and not want to go against me because they always knew that they was only going to get my best and nothing less than my best. And, I took that same attitude and mentality into games. And for me, the whole thing was nobody's going to get more tackles than me. like in '99, when I got hurt, I didn't even play the last 4 games that season and still finished 3rd on the team in tackles, which is unheard of to miss 4 games and still almost lead the team in tackles. But, it was a pride thing for me. I always, when I do something, I give it 1,000%, and I hate losing. I don't care if we pitching pennies. I hate losing. So that was the approach that I took going into games and into the season. So, yeah, it was, hey, y'all better bring it because I'm bringing it every play. And if you don't bring it, you liable to get hit by me if you're standing around the pile. Because when I get to the pile, I'm bringing everything I got to the pile.
We got Marvin Constant, former Alabama middle linebacker, playing from 1998 to 2000 here on the show, if you're just tuning in on a Friday. Now, Marvin, the field goal aspect, the kicking aspect of Alabama, it hasn't always been terrible. There have been some great kickers to come to the program. Van Tiffin comes to mind. Lee Tiffin comes to mind. Jamie Christensen, Philip Doyle, Peter Kim. There are a lot of guys that come to mind. But just in the last few years or so, there's been some rough patches. I know when you guys played, you had Ryan Flugner as the kicker, and that was kind of rough there for you guys. But what does it take at that position to block everything else out and just focus on doing your job from the kicking aspect? And I remember you and I talked about off the air, a lot of jobs are hard in football, but you still got to do the job. So as a kicker, how do you mentally put yourself in the mindset of, I got to make this kick regardless?
First of all, let me shout out one great kicker that you missed, Michael Proctor. Hey, Mike.
Absolutely,
nice
yes.
Mike was clutch. Well, when you talk about kicking, I get it. Everybody thinks kicking is one of the most difficult jobs on the field. But again, almost every position on the field is hard. You don't think guards and tackles have a hard time blocking Aaron Donald? That's almost impossible. You don't think it's almost impossible for a quarterback to throw a ball 50 yards down the field in a window the size of a shoe? I mean, that's almost impossible. So almost everything that's done at a high level of football is impossible. But you're there for a reason. You made it to this high level for a reason because you're supposed to be the best at what you do. So, that whole, well, it's a kick. No, I don't do excuses. Everybody has a job. Do your job. Do it to the best of your abilities, and we'll be fine. Because, again, if I miss a tackle, I got you, and my teammates looking at me crazy. So, yeah, kickers don't get the exact same thing. And, again, you don't think it was difficult for me to tackle Jamal Lewis one play, Travis Henry the next play? Then next week we got to play Deuce McAllister, tackling him. Then, James Johnson, Rondell Mealy, all these. You don't think it was difficult tackling all these guys?
Absolutely. He is Marvin Constant, ladies and gentlemen, graciously joined us live here on the show on a Friday. Former Alabama middle linebacker, played from 1998 to 2000. Check out his book. He's got a book out right now. Very, very good read. Very entertaining. Very informative read as he talks about there is life even when you are in your 40s. There is life. Life doesn't stop at 40 years old. It keeps growing. It keeps going. And you got to keep flourishing with it. So definitely, people, check out the book that Marvin Constant has out right now. You'll be very glad you did. A great read. Marvin, we appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your day to spend with us. My brother, you be good.
Oh, man, I thank you for having me, man. And for everybody who's looking for the book, they can find it on my website, 40 plusstrong.com, or you can find it on Amazon. Again, you're right. There is life after 40 because I'm a true testament. I'm 41 years old in the best shape of my life. So, again, don't let life defeat you, people. Take it by the horns and keep moving.
Absolutely. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too. Thanks. Bye.
Great to be joined there by former Alabama linebacker Marvin Constant, played from 1998 to 2000. But we stay on the phone lines right now where we pick up the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, the legend himself, Justin Smith, who's been traveling state to state, coast to coast. He's actually in Florida as we speak. Justin, my brother, what's going on?
Not much, Steven.
Absolutely happy to have you on here, Justin. Now, on yesterday, you were at the IMG Edgewater game, and that game featured quite a few Alabama commitments for 2021. J.C. Latham, Christian Leary, Ja'Cory Brooks, Xavier Sorey, along with some 2022 guys that you are fascinated by. What was the atmosphere like in the game? Who stepped up? Who played well? You end up having a great interview with a lot of these guys, including J.C. Latham. What happened in the game last night?
Well, it was a bit of a different atmosphere. Of course, everything is a bit different at the moment with COVID-19 affecting everyone. So the atmosphere was a bit affected by limited capacity. Of course, you cannot have a full stadium at IMG Academy, who has a spectacular stadium and a spectacular campus, but the game atmosphere on the field was definitely there. These guys were scratching, trying to get after one another even before the game even started. The atmosphere was there on the field, in between the lines, most definitely. So I really like getting a chance to experience that atmosphere. Also seeing so many future D1 college football players in that particular game. Of course, IMG Academy did take the win 42-7, but that is expected when you are IMG Academy, the number one high school football team in the nation. You have an opportunity to basically recruit guys to come to your school, so that is expected. But the Tide commits really impressed. Most impressed with most impressed with Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver who plays for IMG Academy, who is, of course, committed to the Tide. This is a guy who goes up and gets the football. His catch radius is very wide. He's a kid where you can just throw the ball up. He's going to come down with it. Great size. He's physically developed more than your average high school wide receiver. He is playing for IMG Academy, so he is going to go up against some great competition week in and week out. But the other Tide commits did impress as well. J.C. Latham looks as good as he always looks with that huge size. He's able to be agile and athletic for IMG Academy. Christian Leary has really shown some major improvements in his route running. He ran some amazing routes. If you guys had an opportunity to just check out the video that I posted on our YouTube, it was one route where he hit the cornerback with basically a stop and go, and he made the cornerback look foolish, but his quarterback did not hit him on that particular play. Trust me, that happened multiple times throughout that game. If he had a quarterback that was able to get the ball to him, he would have had some great plays on that night as well. So it was a great atmosphere, a great opportunity to see these guys in real live game action.
Now, you got a chance, Justin, to speak with J.C. Latham after the game, and he spoke a lot about, his reason for committing to Alabama, his relationship with Coach Saban, after Jedrick Wills got drafted and the message that Coach Saban told him. What were some of the things that Latham shared with you in that interview? Because that was a great interview.
Yeah, that was a great interview. The interview is gold for any Tide fan, who wants to know more about one of the Tide's top commits in the 2021 recruiting class. Of course, we at Touchdown Alabama currently have him listed as the Tide's number one commit when it comes to our own independent recruiting rankings. But that interview is great. Be sure, Tide fans, to check it out. It is a subscriber-only interview. Pick up that subscription so you can watch that particular one. But he did talk about what went into his decision to commit to the Tide. Talked about Nick Saban calling him the minute Jedrick Wills was drafted in the first round by the Cleveland Browns. Talked a lot about the Tide's offensive line class, what he think they can do, the amount of championship they can win, how he is trying to improve his game, the confidence that he is showing. That was just a great interview, a great opportunity to check out and catch up with one of the Tide's top commits in this 2021 recruiting class.
I'm telling you, folks, he's Justin Smith. He has got a bed, a blanket, a pillow at every single recruit's house, going state to state, city to city, coast to coast, scouting out these athletes. Justin, be safe out there, man. Be good out there. Looking to have you back soon, man. Take care.
Thank you, Stephen.
Always fun to have Justin on as well, breaking down that 2021 recruiting there for the Crimson Tide. We take another break on the show. When we come back, it's back on you, Alabama fans. Back on your thoughts, your phone calls, your ideas, your question, the dialogue with you. Blow them phone lines up when we return to In My Own Words.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We back in, folks. We are back into the break. Well, from the break here on a Friday. Hottest show on the streets. Number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And we're back on you, Tide Nation. Yes, you. 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And we kick things up here with Spencer Reveley. Spencer, what's going on, man?
Hey, Stephen M., how it's going? You sound fired up tonight, sir.
I mean, I try to have big energy every night, but I appreciate it, man. Next week around this time, Alabama's playing Mizzou.
That is true. I just like to ask you a little bit of update here. I am definitely on the Ben Davis train. I can't help it. I've been watching this young man go through his trials and tribulations, and what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing on everything I can find out, he's going to be on fire this year. What's your thoughts?
He is ready this year. And one thing about Ben, and like I mentioned on a previous show, I've seen so many five stars go through the situation that Ben went through, and a lot of them transferred. A lot of them said, I'm done, forget it. I thought Bama was my place. I thought Coach Saban was my guy. It's not what it seems, and they leave the program. Something about Ben, something about this program has kept Ben here. He's been grounded. He has went through the maze, and his entire story has come full circle. And I've said this. If Ben goes out here and just has a rocking year, can somebody please get Tom Rinaldi on the phone? Because this is something that you got to have documented. Ben Davis is ready to have a big year.
That is so true, sir. And one last thing, I'll get off here because I know other people's calling in. How many injuries have we had during this short training time?
Let's see here. How many injuries? We've only had two, but they've been minor. I know Ali Cajo had a knee, but he's back. And Christian Barmore has a minor knee. He'll be back in practice on Monday of next week. So only two, but both have been minor.
What's DJ's injury?
DJ Dale is fine. He's back. Now he had a knee last year, but he has rehabbed it. He's been in camp the whole time, so he's fine.
So that proves that Coach Saban made the right decisions, because this time last year we had injuries all over the place.
Absolutely.
So I think this is
Baloo and Ray have done a great job, but on top of that, this has not been your average fall camp, because normally in fall camp, you're going 2-a-days, 3-a-days, you're going 3 to 4 days strong a week. This time around in camp, you may have Monday practice, you may have Tuesday, Wednesday off, go back to practice Thursday, Friday, have Saturday off. So there's been some off days in this year's camp to where the body can rest and recuperate. So while Baloo and Ray have done well, and they have, it's also been a camp to where players can get some rest in there.
That is outstanding. I still see a major difference between old school Bama and new school Bama on the strength and conditioning. But I'm going to get off here, man. Thank you so much. Awesome show tonight. I love your energy. Keep it up.
Appreciate it, Spencer. You take care. Got to enjoy having Spencer calling in, man. We continue with the phone lines here on a Friday. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Man, everything just great there, Steven. Can't wait for next weekend.
Same here. Same here. Alabama, Missouri. After a crazy, paranoid type of offseason, we're finally getting football, but not just football. Alabama football, SEC football. Coach Saban's ready. I'm trying to keep myself contained here. I'm ready for football.
Yeah, I am too. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Back in the spring recruiting, didn't we have a guy that was recruited out of Hueytown?
Alabama D, you're referring to Roydell Williams, the running back. And
yeah, is he doing good on the field, or
he is? He is. He's actually one of the guys that Saban is very happy about. Roydell Williams has had a great camp. He had 2 really good scrimmages. This is a guy that can do it all. I know people talk about, among the freshmen, they talk about Jace McClellan as the home run guy, which he is, but, Roydell, strong in between the tackles, physical, can run guys over. He's got speed on the outside. Very, very good pass blocker. To be a freshman running back and can pass block the way he can, Hueytown really taught him some great stuff. When I look at Roydell Williams, this is basically Josh Jacobs 2.0.
Wow. Yeah, I'm anxious to see him, man. Sure am. I think all the boys are going to do great this year. Sure do.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate the call. Keep listening to us.
All righty, and roll tide.
Absolutely. We continue with the calls as you're lighting this up on a Friday. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Good evening, Steven. How are you?
Man, I cannot complain, man, of yourself.
Oh, fantastic. I wanted to touch a little bit on Alabama's offensive line. This may be one of the best offensive lines that they've been able to put together in quite some time. I mean, you have the 2 bookend tackles, but you go inside with Brown and then Dickerson, and then I'm guessing Okor Emil, the kid from Indianapolis, is going to win the left guard spot. The offensive line should be dominant and get the Alabama running game back to what it used to be.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I mean, Saban talked about there were 7 guys on this line that he looks at as starters, but only 5 can play, and you pretty much, mentioned all 5 of them. You got your 2 bookend tackles in Neal and Leatherwood, giving Saban something he hasn't had in his tenure at Alabama, 2 6'6" and taller offensive tackle, so great length there. But on the inside, you got your junkyard dogs, Dickerson at center. He can play both center and guard, very physical guy. You've got Deontay Brett Brown at left guard. We saw when he came back from suspension last year, the run game really picked up. And then at right guard, Emil Ekiyor, young man from Indianapolis, of whom he's dropped weight. He came in at 338. He's now 324, in the best shape of his life, and he's got a lot of power, very intelligent guy. His father played in the NFL. So you've got, 3 and 4 deep here on the offensive line. So Kyle Flood's got a lot of talent, and this talent is looking at trying to win the Joe Moore Award.
I totally agree with that. What is an update on Pierce Quick? I know he's coming in as a second-year guy, and they've seen that he was second on the depth chart at guard. Are they thinking about possibly moving him inside, or is he just in that 7-man rotation you were talking about?
He would be first off the bench. Pierce Quick will be first off the bench at one of the 2 guard spots. He's had a great camp. Coaching staff loves him. Kyle Flood really likes him. Players really like him. He's got a junkyard dog, mean mentality. He will be first off the bench at one of the 2 guard spots. It's going to be difficult to keep him off the field if somebody comes off for a breather. Pierce Quick will be first off the bench.
That's kind of what that's what I wanted to hear, because I really like the kid coming out of high school. I followed him coming out of high school. Got great feet. It looks like he's put on a little bit of weight, which will help him inside. that's really all I had. I just want to kind of touch on the offensive line stuff. As an offensive line coach up here in Illinois, I follow it heavily. So
appreciate the call, man. You keep listening to us.
Yes, thank you very much. Bye.
Absolutely. Got everybody, people lighting us up here on the show Friday, in my own words. Continue to do so. 205-448-1358. Definitely want to hear from you. 205-448-1358 as we are 8 days, count them, 8. We're talking Julio Jones, Freddie Roach, Josh Jacobs, John Mechie, Christian Harris away from Alabama versus Missouri on next Saturday. But as you guys are continuing to get your thoughts together, Alabama head coach Nick Saban mentioned something interesting in his presser this week. He talked about how, the Tide has changed it's changed the protocol, it's changed the testing protocol for COVID. Now, So throughout the offseason, Alabama was testing players 3 times a week for COVID. It was a 3 times a week testing ordeal, but now they've gone to daily testing. They've been aggressively testing players daily to try to minimize the exposure, but also not having to keep so many guys quarantined at one time. Saban feels like, the program has the resources, it has, the capabilities, everything needed for the daily testing. He says it's great for the players, it's great for the program. And then also in talking with Landon Dickerson and DJ Dillon, other players, they feel like the daily testing, good for the program, good for the guys, just trying to promote that safety, that well-being, but also get on that field and play football also. So the big change here in terms of the COVID testing protocol, Alabama has gone from testing 3 times a week to now aggressive everyday daily testing. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we return, we get into one Christian Barmore. He wants to play next week against Missouri, but should he be held out, who could be his replacement? We'll touch it up after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Moving through the city with the Cadillac. Ooh, no, I'm a mistake. I'm a mistake of this day job here, folks. We're back in from the action here on the hottest show on the streets, #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. It's always great to have the man, John Ivory, the man, the myth, the bona fide legend, the maestro in the production studio, and you guys tuning into the show as well. Be sure to give a thumbs up, like on the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way you can have the best in news, notes, alerts, and commentary on your Crimson Tide. But before we talk Christian Barmore here, got to remind you of this. You are a die-hard Alabama football fan, die-hard fan here. You love the Crimson Tide. You eat it, you sleep it, you breathe it, you wear it, you go to church in it, you shop at the mall with it. You love Alabama football. Got to get you to TDAwear.com. Got to check out TDAwear.com and check out the clothing line. Check out the apparel here. We got your shirts right here for you. The We Want Football shirts, Let Them Play shirts. We got hoodies for you, all types of apparel. So TDAwear.com, showing that support for the University of Alabama, for the players, the coaching staff, and also us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Check it out there, TDAwear.com. But Christian Barmore, Alabama defensive lineman in his redshirt sophomore year. Coach Saban mentioned it in his presser that, Barmore doing well. He is recovering from the slight minor knee injury he sustained prior to the second scrimmage of fall camp. And even though he's recovering, even though he's doing better, Coach Saban still always kind of precautious there. He mentioned that, Barmore's status for Missouri kind of uncertain as of right now. Now, the young man will be back to practice on Monday. Monday of next week, Christian Barmore will be back in practice. And just judging on how good he moves, how quick he moves, how agile he is, depending upon how well he can maneuver on that knee, will determine whether he plays against Missouri or not. But knowing Barmore, he wants to be out there. Believe you me, this young man want to be out there, especially when you look at the type of year he's projected to have, the type of success he's projected to have. Coach Saban calling him the best pass rusher on the defensive line last year through 12 games, 26 sacks, 26 tackles, not 26 sacks, 26 tackles, my God, 26 sacks, 26 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hurries, couple of pass breakups there through 12 games. And we saw the big playability he had in limited action last year. So we know he wants to be on that field, and he's going to look to show Coach Saban, Pete Golding, guys, I'm good. I can move. I can do lateral movements. I can go up and down the field. I'm fine. I can play. So Monday will be the moment where Barmore gets back. Coaching staff will see how the movements are, how the knee is in terms of diagnosing, him being able to take the field against Missouri or not. Now, should he not be able to go? Should Alabama choose to hold him off? Should Alabama choose to sit him down to make sure the knee is really, really 100% good? Because we all know Coach Saban is the type of coach, he doesn't like to leave any stone left unturned. He wants to make sure everything is 100. Or as the youth say now, everything 1,000. So if Coach Saban feels like, Barmore, we know you want to go, but just to make sure you're good for the big games down the road, we're going to hold you out here for Missouri. So if the coaching staff chooses to hold Barmore out, here are his potential replacements for that game. You look at Justin Blvd, the sophomore from Forest Park, Georgia, came in last year. He started the year off with the injury. He missed 2 games with a knee, but played 10 games last season and showed some flashes that he can be really good in fall camp. Coach Saban mentioned him as the most consistent guy on the defensive line in everything, in rushing the passer and stopping the run and filling his gap and playing assignment football. So there's Justin Blvd. You also have Byron Young, who can come off the bench and help out. Byron Young had a big year last year, and a solid year last year as a freshman. And then there's one Fidarian Mathis who can play both defensive tackle and defensive end. Mathis has played in 27 career games in his tenure, but he's looking to be a bigger leader here on the defensive front. So you've got Mathis, Byron Young, and Justin Blvd. All 3 of those will be fine replacements there for Christian Barmore. I think a Blvd would be the number 1 guy to fill in that spot if Barmore is held back, if Barmore is not able to go and or play against Missouri. But once again, I still feel like him coming back on Monday, and with everything that he's anticipated to have done this year, especially when you discuss, getting this defensive front to be even more nasty, even more dangerous, even more physical, taking that coaching from Freddie Roach and manifesting it into big play on the field. And, along with that, having this defense really just suck the life out of everybody in the SEC and in the entire college football. So he wants to be on the field. And at the same time, he's entering his 3rd year at the program. And when you enter your 3rd year, you know what that means. These NFL scouts start watching you. These pro scouts start watching you. These pro teams start watching you. These coaches look at you. These general managers look at you. They're all looking at you. And these NFL draft pundits that are sometimes hyped up on hair gel and coffee, when you look at Todd McShay, Mel Kiper Jr., no offense to Todd McShay, Mel Kiper Jr., they get paid for what they do. When you look at McShay and Kiper Jr. and Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, they're popping tape in and they're wondering, okay, what are we looking at? What are we dissecting? What are we breaking down? What stands out about this particular player? So now in his third year in the program, Christian Barmore is about to get immersed into that type of deal. And he wants that pressure, and he wants that attention, and he wants that opportunity to prove I'm right there in line. He saw what Jonathan Allen did. He saw what Deron Payne did. He saw what Quentin Williams did, and Ashawn Robinson and Jaron Reed, and just the litany of guys that have come before him. So he senses, hey, I'm next in line. I'm the next honcho. Like, this is my moment. This is my time. I'm fresh out the pan, bruh. I'm next. So Barmore knows that he's next. So because he knows that he's next, it is going to be dangerously difficult for Coach Saban and the staff and the medical team that goes to Jeff Allen there to keep him out of this football game because the young man wants to play. But in the event that, Saban comes to him and goes, look, Christian, we need you for Georgia. We need you for LSU. We need you for Auburn. We need you for the giant matchups, down the stretch. So if you cannot, move the way we need you to move this week in practice, we're going to hold you out from the Missouri matchup. And should that happen, you've got Byron Young, you've got Justin Boygby, you got Fedarian Mathis that can, hold down the fort and do what they need to do. But next Monday starts the timetable for Christian Barmore. Will he be able to play against Missouri to start the season, that being on next week? But Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on your Crimson Tide. It's very simple to access this. You download it from download the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you've got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we have you covered here: iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Google Play, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered right here. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I shall return on Monday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. Once again, Bama Nation, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. But till next time, folks, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, it's the weekend. Do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Be sure to get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, it's been in my own words.